try and understand that you're dealing with a human being who's got time frames that they're dealing with as well, and up front get an understanding of how urgent this proposal is. So if I've given you a brief on something, on an objective for Pringles, which is one of our brands, for example, the first question you want to be asking is, when are you thinking of getting this live? You know, it puts us all in the right perspective in terms of how long you've got to work for it. And then second question is, you know, when will you be looking to get something signed off and up front? You know, different brands that I work on across the whole Kellogg's portfolio, dealing with different people, again, different brand managers, different media owners, different stakeholders, different offices, Geneva, Dublin, Manchester, Chicago, Hamburg, whatever. Try to understand a little bit about the structure you're working with. That'll help you, and then that'll in turn give you an idea of the timeframes you're working with, the people you're dealing with, the number of stakeholders that need to see this plan and the urgency. I don't get, because I've not done it before, but the point you made is interesting around, you know, you've got to keep the lights on, you've got to drive that investment. I've seen agencies before rush proposals through the door, say they can deliver something, maybe talk about this later on, say they can deliver something that they can't deliver. They've not delivered it, we'll never work with them ever again. Prioritise delivering a great end product, timely, and understanding that you're dealing with human beings should hopefully set you right. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's such a great perspective to see that, because again, going back to the desperation thing from the agency owner's perspective, is asking these questions. You know, like for you, it's a totally normal thing, and this is quite interesting. Actually, I'd love to hear your perspective on this as well, from how that dynamic has changed, because it's perfect. Because yeah, transparent communication should be everything, and so for you, it makes your life easier. And I guess from an agency's point of view, sometimes there's probably that challenge around, oh, if I ask this question, will that maybe piss off the potential client, and I might not get the job? What's your thoughts on that? Like, how has that dynamic changed, or is it the same, or like?
I mean, I've had to stick with what I thought previously, because it's still the same, I think, you know, from both experiences, which is, if you're chasing a statement of work, if you're chasing a sign-off, you're chasing a proposal, you've got it wrong, you've failed, because you've not done your planning up front, you've not done your homework, you've not onboarded it properly, you've not asked these questions around, where's the money coming from, you know, what's the process, what are your lead times, and you know, if we kind of all looked in the mirror and thought about those situations where we were chasing it, and you're thinking of this, do I just be the arsehole who emails them at 9 o'clock at night? You're probably honestly going to say that you've got it wrong at some point. Yeah,
it's really interesting. You must have like massive amount of qualification criteria before you start talking to clients. What are some of your criteria?
We do look at budget, so we won't work with clients under a certain budget, because we also know that they just won't get our time. Yeah. And also we look at different sectors as well. We make sure that it fits with the work and the values that we've got, and we can be disruptive, and we can be creative, and we can be at the forefront. And certain brands and certain companies just won't fit that. And I think you've got to be really honest at making sure that what you're going after from a new business perspective matches up with your values of what your agency is, because that's when you lose a bit of yourself if you start going after things like that. But just on chasing, I think especially when you're in a competitive pitch against agencies and you're waiting to hear back, it's a very fine line between chasing someone because you want to show that you still really want it and you're interested, but then also pestering. It's very difficult to know when to stop and when the line is. So I think for me, what I've always gone for is making sure I treat people like I'd want to be treated. I would never call you like when you're at home making your dinner, because that's just not how I wouldn't want that in return. So yeah, I think it's just having that sort of human thought against it.
Yeah. One of the things as well that I always try to say